Rhiannon Potkey from the Knoxville News Sentinel knows a little bit more about Derek, and she's going to join us now to talk about his impact for the Vols over the last couple of years, and now to the Philadelphia Eagles. Rhiannon, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, guys. Sounds like you're having a lot of fun over there.
We are. We just we have the in honor of the NFL draft. We let our fans draft which Eagles road game they want to go to, and our winner just is heading to Kansas City, so they'll get to see Derek Barnett. You got to see a lot of Derek, and obviously he's a record-breaking player. Broke Reggie White's record down there. We know Reggie really well here. When you got a chance to cover a kid like this, did you see this kid's a first-round pick? When did you notice it?
Right away, right? I mean, this season, even last season a little bit, but this season right away, just, you know, his, not only on the field but off the field, just how seriously he takes football and how he's such a student of the game. I mean, just his obsessiveness with making sure everything is perfect and studying and really diving deep into technique and fundamentals. It was just obvious that this guy, you know, that he got it in all areas of the game. And on the field, obviously, it was evident looking at the film. He has an insatiable appetite to just get better every day. And to me, it's, you know, having talked to him, spoken to him, you could just see that he was going to do anything it took to make himself the best player he can be. And he still has a ways to go, he believes. So I think he's going to love getting in Philly and really, you know, just absorbing all the lessons and some of the veterans and the coaching staff and really trying to even make himself even better than he is.
Rhiannon, what are some of the things you think he's going to have to work on? I mean, obviously, being in the SEC, you see top-level kids week in and week out. You've seen guys who have been high picks and fail and high picks and make it. What are some of the attributes you think that he might need to work on at this level?
Yeah, there's a few people that didn't think, you know, in terms of his ability against the run as much. Obviously, he was a really strong pass rusher. I think he probably wants to become better against the run. It's not to say he was bad. I mean, he was good, but, you know, that was probably an area where he really wants to make sure he improves there. Fundamentally he's pretty sound, but I'm sure there's a few things that, you know, SEC, as you said, it's about as close as you can get to the NFL in terms of speed, but the NFL is still a whole different level. So I think he's just going to have to really adjust to that and see, because he's not as a lot of people pointed out, he didn't have the freakish athleticism that some guys like Myles Garrett might have. He compensates with that, with just having perfect technique. And I think he's just going to have to see how that translates to the next level and maybe just pick up a few little tips. And, you know, once he realizes that every offensive lineman he's facing is going to be like the top offensive lineman in the SEC. So I think he'll just have to see what he can learn.
Yeah, do you think he steps in and plays right away? I mean, he's the kind of guy that you think from day one. Because I'll tell you, the reaction here, he was funny because he said he was glad he didn't get booed in Philadelphia, which, you know, has been bound to happen from time to time. But I'll tell you, the reaction seems to be, I mean, we put the poll question up on Twitter, take that for what it's worth, very unscientific, but over 200 votes in and said, kind of 60% said they didn't love it, they didn't hate it, it was just kind of
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to say I think he'd immediately step in. So I don't know. I mean, he's going to want to. That's for sure. He's going to work his butt off to try to do that. Really, you know, there's always an adjustment period. I thought some guys that went to the NFL would immediately play, like they were just surefire studs, and it took them some time to adapt. I couldn't give you like a for sure he's going to go play, but he's going to do whatever it takes to try to do that. I mean, that's one thing I know about Derek Barnett. Is he'll make sure that he puts himself in that position to do that, and he's going to fight for every minute he gets because he wants to. He wants to get better. He wants to learn. He wants to become, you know, a top NFL player, and he'll work to do that. Whether that, you know, happens quick enough to do it first game of the season, I don't know, but he'll definitely make sure that he puts himself in a position to at least attempt to do that.
Rhiannon Potkey is our guest from the Knoxville News Sentinel. Now, Rhiannon, were you down there covering the Vols for Robert Ayers? Because I've had people ask, say that he reminds him of Ayers a little bit, who, you know, he was a pretty nice player in the NFL. I don't know if you could say he was a great player, but they both got picked in the first round.
I was not here during those years. I was actually covering some Pac-12 during those years out on the West Coast. So, I mean, I was following it from afar still, but I wasn't here covering personally, so I probably couldn't speak to that in terms of personal experience of that.
No problem. Yeah, I know, because we've had a lot of people looking for comparisons, and his name came up. I said, oh, Vol, guy that the one thing is, as he mentioned today, he was asked about Reggie White, and you look at those numbers, and the numbers he put up better numbers than Myles Garrett and Solomon Thomas. Is this the kind of guy you think will have a little bit of a chip on his shoulder because that he hasn't really been mentioned with those guys who got picked in the top 5?
For sure he will. He won't tell you that. He's pretty soft-spoken, to be honest, for, someone. He's more of a guy that leads through actions. He doesn't say much, but he can start talking on the field, too. I've seen him do it a few times, which kind of surprised me. But, yeah, he'll definitely have a chip on his shoulder, and I think that'll only make him better. He heard that a lot of the season, the comparisons between Myles Garrett, obviously, and, he just always said, look at the tape, look at the production, like that'll speak for itself. So he'll make sure that chip's there to push him. He had 33 sacks, and 29 of those came against SEC teams. So it wasn't like he was building, Tennessee Tech, numbers where he's building up the sacks. And to be honest, guys, this season their defensive line was so injured and so poor at some points. I saw some people triple team him and even send 4 guys to him because he was that dominant that they just figured everyone else can try to rush and we'll just stop him. And he still was able to get sacked. So it was pretty impressive what he's able to do this season.
Well, that's encouraging. And, one thing, when he entered this year, did he have a thought of, I want to be a top 10, a top 5? I mean, if you asked him today, is he disappointed that he was the 14th pick?
He never verbally said exactly where he wanted to go. He played it pretty coy there. He did, he wanted to be one of the top guys. He never really put a number to it. But you can believe he probably, I'm sure there is something that he wanted to go top 10. I know he's really happy he landed in Philly, so I don't know if maybe that makes up for a little bit of it. But he'll just keep a little bit of that in the back of his head, knowing like there was how many guys picked ahead of him, and he'll probably make sure that he tries to outdo those guys. So, like I said, he's not one to be a huge talker off the field and put some bulletin board material, but he's a confident kid. So he'll want to make sure that, and he knows people are still kind of, quote-unquote, doubting him a little bit because he doesn't have those, some of the people are, like they do in the draft, they break you down to your, till they find anything. So he'll keep those in mind. I know he will.
All right, Rhiannon Potkey from the Knoxville News Sentinel, of course, kind enough to join us to give us a little bit more insight on the newest Eagle, Deek Barnett, who is a Nashville, Tennessee kid, so he's coming to Philly, a little bit different. As you heard in his press conference we carried earlier, very soft-spoken kind of kid, so we'll see how he transforms to the Northeast. Philadelphia sports fans, I know, very rabid fan base. What are they playing from, like 107,000 down there?
Yeah, it's pretty. That's why it was funny when Dion asked him last night on the NFL Network, referencing how, there's higher expectations in Philly. I think some of the Tennessee fans were like, what? They just kind of went off on that, like, we're pretty high expectations. We just don't always, So it was kind of funny how they kind of took notice of that question. But it's a different dynamic, but they're rabid here for sure. He'll be used to getting he'll be used to being someone that's like, followed around town and constantly talked about, and he won't, and even the media attention, down here for a college this size with the type of media attraction they get, it's pretty outlandish. So I think he won't have a hard transition in terms of that.
No doubt. Well, Rhiannon, we appreciate a couple minutes of your time and giving us more insight on Deek.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Have fun, you guys.